So in answer to the big question I asked you to think about, and if you have any other responses, please do share in the chat. But looking at very quickly some standards, these were from, again, the ISTE website. And obviously some of the things that Paul talked about could connect to some of the other criteria here, but certainly we see being a computational thinker is of critical importance according to these standards. This is a paper that was co-written by a research collaborator and friend, very recent. We're not going to spend too much time on educational research in this presentation, but in case you're interested, and just so you know, this was published May 2020, so last month. And I love the title. Computational thinking is more about thinking than computing. And I think that's the big message that, you know, Paul and I would love for you to share with your students. I think there's a sense of empowerment that particularly those of us, and I will include myself in that category, those of us who are not, you know, fluent in the tech world or computing world, and we automatically kind of, you know, leave ourselves out of anything with the word computer in it other than as a consumer and user. But computational thinking is really getting your kids to see themselves as people who do this is an important point of access for them. You know, as we all know, in terms of the workforce, et cetera, not that that's the only reason, most of the jobs that are out there connect to the computing world from 2020 onward. There's a lot of data out there. So if there are simple and easy ways where we can do activities in the classroom where students can walk away kind of feeling confident and competent in this area, I guess the point of our presentation is that would be a good thing to do. In this editorial, I've circled it in this green oval here. The notion of CT should not be restricted definitively to computer science or programming, thus avoiding a subject fixation about CT. CT needs to be reconceptualized. And it's nice that we agree, because we've actually done the activity that Paul described with the Love Jack. What it's been over a year ago now. So what can you do in the classroom or online if remote learning, since none of us knows exactly what this fall will bring? What I'm going to be sharing here is taking what Paul has just presented and sharing with you some ideas that you can run with in the classroom, whether or not you're seeing the students online or in person. So I'm going to walk through each of these three options. So the first thing is you can watch some examples of walkSTEM videos created at UT Dallas with a computational thinking theme. These videos were part of the Create Your Own walkSTEM initiative, which you're all welcome to participate in. Paul was interested in this, and so he had his graduate class in computer science, I think it was the fall before last, create these videos as kind of it was a required project in class because it is an important part of learning computing, but it was also a gift because UT Dallas was hosting an event called Women in Tech. And for this event, it was a panel discussion, they invited a good number of middle school students. So we actually had those students, before they attended the panel discussion, experience these videos in guided tours around the campus. It was really a lot of fun. I'm going to share the worksheets that we very recently created for this purpose to share with you. And then you can do it with your students too. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to share the video now. This is just about a 2-minute video. It's one of the videos in the playlist that's called WalkSTEM at UT Dallas on the talkSTEM YouTube channel. By the way, let me just do my little plug. I'd love for you, if you're interested in this, to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is a nonprofit, commercial-free one, so you know, we do not get dollars for your clicks, but it's a really low-cost way for us to share our content as we create. We keep adding to it, so the easiest way to stay in the loop is to subscribe. There's currently over 300 short videos that are, ready to go resources for the classroom. All short videos, because having been a teacher, I know that most usually short videos are more useful than long ones. So hopefully the sound will work. I'm going to play it now.
Spirit rocks located outside the activity center are available to be painted for event announcements, welcome notes, and creative endeavors. Conceptually, rocks are made up of granite, quartz, and fossils. It sits on the grassy surface. This grassy surface is contained in the peripheries of the activity center. From data flow perspective, we would like to demonstrate a very common concept of data structures. A queue. Queue is a line of people or data which follows first in, first out rule to get processed. To paint the spirit rock, each person with its paint supplies and ideas as a data chunk paints. First person in the line paints first. He transfers the data to the rock in the form of graffiti and painting ideas. The same process repeats for the next person in the line, and it goes on till the queue is empty. So everything in the nature forms a computational logic, be it the hexagonal patterns of the beehive or the branching of the trees. You can always see around and find a computational system in the things around you.
So these videos are part of the Create Your Own WalkSTEM collection of videos on our channel, as I mentioned, on YouTube. By the way, Paul's graduate computer science, and you can see those students had a lot of fun filming. There's about 8 or 9 other short videos, and they also submitted to Paul a flyer. So they went through the 3 models of data representation that he walked you through for the Love Jack. So we'll be adding new videos. Paul actually had his class last fall do the same thing, but with the topic of data science. And he and I are planning, hopefully it'll happen, an August webinar on this topic. So hopefully you can join us then. Where can you find this? So the talkSTEM YouTube channel is quite unique. So I just wanted to kind of walk you through how to navigate it. I've been told by teachers, I often get emails, where is this video you talked about? So I thought it was well worth walking people through. Because we have so much content and we're using YouTube, again, primarily because it's free. And we want to make our services to teachers and other educators free as long as we possibly can. So if you go to the talkSTEM YouTube channel, our content is organized in about 10 different categories. And so I've shown you in the red oval the category that you would find this playlist. So within each category, there are a number of playlists, and within each playlist are a number of videos. And so if you were to click on that Create Your Own WalkSTEM category, which is basically the category of videos that have been submitted by a growing community, and I hope you and your students will join, you can find the YouTube, it's called UT Dallas, A Computational Spin. There's 9 videos in it, and you could see the videos created by his students. And I think it's very inspiring for young students to see other students. So I'm suggesting that you show some of these, check them out and see what you think. And this is, if you were to click on that playlist, you would see the videos laid out in this way, just a screenshot of what you would see. Paul has shared, and I've shared several links at the start of this Zoom call. One of the links is a link to this particular blog post that Paul recently wrote. I encourage you all to read it. He goes through basically his lesson plan guide, what exactly he did, what instructions he gave his students, his handout, so on and so forth. So a lot of interesting information there. What else can you do? Well, so just this is a brand new activity guide that Paul and I worked on, thinking that, you know, some of you might be interested in having something that's just ready to go that you could try out with your students that wouldn't take too much time. So this is the first page of a 2-page worksheet, but you can use the 2 pages independently. And basically, on the left-hand side, what we've done is given an example based on a tree. We were trying to think of something that all kids would have encountered, no matter where they live. So there's 3 models of representing the data in an object that they observe. So we definitely want the object to be something that's real, that they're looking at. So you can imagine if this is a remote learning scenario, you can have students still work in groups and select an object in each other's homes and talk to each other about it. Or of course, they could work on this individually. If they're in class, you could have them look at objects on the school campus and basically list, concept map, and then which are 2 sort of ways of representing the data that are analogous to data structures. The third one, as Paul explained, is slightly different, and it's more a process approach, where you can imagine providing a list of instructions for some sort of imaginary factory, is how I would put it to a child. And that's really analogous to computer programming. So I think you can really empower kids if once they've done this for, you know, could be a slide, it could be, you know, a bookshelf, it could be, you know, a soccer field, it could be pretty much anything you like. And say, you know what, you just did the exact kind of thinking that our computer scientists need to do. It's the most important thing. By the way, it's no accident that we design computers to think like us, because computers were created by people. This one, Paul and I, this is Paul's idea, of course, which is kids might also enjoy thinking about not just objects, but about processes. And you can do the same kind of thinking, computational thinking, and break it down that way. So here we have an example of brushing your teeth. So as you can see, if you use that as an example, the first way of representing data related to that process would be listing what you need. The second would be describing the process using a concept map. And the third, again, would be providing instructions in 2 ways. One is sort of a recipe style list of instructions. So step 1 through step 4 in this case. Oops, there's a little typo. I'll change that before I send it to you. And B, instructions for a factory or a machine that's doing this process. Because of course we do computer programming for both processes and more static objects. Let me pause there and see if there are any questions up to this point. So the link on the blog post should be included in what I sent you. I'll check in a moment and see if I left something out. And if I did, I'll definitely follow up. So I'll let Paul take this. Paul, is there still merit, in your opinion, to teaching students about flowcharts and related terminology? And this is coming from somebody who's teaching high school.
Yes, thank you. There's definitely merit in I think, teaching flowcharts. They're a visual representation of decision-making or logic and represent a program, but visually. Just as an add-on to the flowchart, there are a number of, when you work in industry, there are a number of flowcharting standards that pretty much all software engineers use. It's called the Unified Modeling Language. I wouldn't want to get into it now, but if you're interested, pop us an email. So they're widely used in industry. When you graduate and you go and work for a company, you're making flowcharts if you're a software engineer. They also use them in business. There's another standard for business processes, like how a business operates. Now, I'm not sure if I've answered your question though. Maybe you can unmute.
Yeah. If you, I'm sorry, I forget the name of the person, so certainly feel free to add on, and let me also look the question to see if there's any other questions in the chat at this point.
Any questions are awesome. We love questions.
There was a question about fractals. Not related to computational thinking, but I do certainly, talkSTEM has some content on fractals. It's very simple, nothing detailed. We have a video actually within our walkSTEM at Dallas Arts District. In fact, Paul, you were there on that walk with Dr. Whitney. So if you were to go to walkSTEM Academy on the talkSTEM YouTube channel and click on Dallas Arts District playlist, there is a short video, just kind of very introductory, relating fractals to a leaf actually that we walk by, some magnolia trees during our walking tour of the Dallas Arts District. I'll check in the chat in a little bit. Let me just proceed with the next slide, and we'll definitely, please keep those questions coming. So the third way that you can, if you're interested, kind of, really get engaged with the students, and you could use those activity sheets, by the way, as kind of a jumping off point to get your kids started thinking about this. If you would like to submit your own videos that, we'd love to share other examples of computational thinking themed walkSTEM tours anywhere. By the way, if we do end up doing some remote learning, it's very easy to create videos using a collection of stills, photographs, using software like Adobe Spark, or you may know other software. So a video could be the kind that you saw Paul's students doing, but it could also be videos that you create, using Adobe Spark, and depending on your kids' access and age, you could even have them make some of those videos so that they learn that use of that technology. You can find more information about how to submit and how to create and submit your own walkSTEM video to us on our website. So if you go to talkstem.org and click on that walkSTEM tab, and then from walkSTEM, you click on create your own walkSTEM. When you go there, you will see at the bottom of the page a collection of these tiles, and in most of your cases, I believe you would click on schools. Most of the content is the same, really. Frankly, it's just the introduction that varies. And as backdrop, so we have a lot of other STEM-focused walking tours, but all of them, including the computational thinking-focused ones, or you may have ideas about other, we're thinking about, data representations, as I mentioned. We're also talking, Paul and I, about mathematical functions, because as he put it, I love the way you put it, Paul, computer science is basically mathematical functions on steroids. So certainly all of these themes are very welcome. And if you have any questions or ideas, again, we would love to hear from you. In any case, in each walkSTEM tour, there's a minimum of 3 stops. A stop is an element in the real world. And the stop in some way needs to be inquiry-based and observation-based. In other words, it's different from, I like to highlight observation-based, so it's specific to the thing that you're looking at, unless it's a process, of course, but then it'll be specific to that process that if you are videoing it, you could show us. And I think something different happens to students and all of us, frankly, when something is specific versus generalizable or generalized. Obviously, the goal is to generalize from these specific encounters, but a walkSTEM tour is not the place for sort of a textbook-like scenario where we just sort of have generic pictures of any trees. We want kids to build connections to their environments, to talk about their tree in their backyard or their favorite park or on their campus versus some generalized diagram of a tree out there, if that makes sense. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but just know that all of this is on the website, and it's pretty simple in terms of guidance on creating a WalkSTEM tour. There's also frameworks that look like this that walk you through what you do. And I went, for those of you who were here yesterday, I went through all of this yesterday. I just wanted to highlight that in the framework, which you can download, and again, all of this is freely accessible, no cost at all. Under the, I've highlighted with the yellow oval here, what we're talking about in this webinar is a theme-based WalkSTEM tour. In this case, Paul shared his computational thinking theme-based WalkSTEM tour. And of course, you're welcome to think of other themes as well, beyond computational thinking. Now, some of you may say, well, this is well and good. I don't know if I have time for a whole PBL unit. This would take, you know, a week or so, a week to two of class time. We also have hashtag STEMLens, which is an abbreviated way for you to test the waters, if you will, for students and teachers to make explicit connections to the real world. And for this, you just very simply use your smartphone or your favorite camera and take a photo. It could also be a very short video. Mark up the image, add your STEM question and response or observation, and share with us. So what we're doing, as of yesterday, I just launched, oh, here are some examples, by the way, of things that we've done in my team. So it's really, as you can see, extremely simple. The power comes where if we all do this collectively, we'll have a bank of really great, interesting photographs that we can look through and share with students so they can really make those real world connections that I know that in the educational community we're always talking about, without spending a ton of time on it for each of us as individuals. So I'm asking you to join this team. So here you go. Here's your hashtag STEMLens teacher channel, teacher challenged. It's a social media challenge. As you relax and unwind, which you definitely should this summer, take at least 3 photos, mark them up, share your STEM question or observation, use hashtag STEMLens, and tag us. Now, tag 3 of your colleagues to take this challenge. For those of you who are in this webinar, your specific questions and observations can be themed computational thinking based upon the content that Paul and I have shared with you. I hope that, I'd love to know, by the way, if you find this interesting. This is the first time I'm doing anything like this. You know, as we all know, there's a lot of very popular social media challenges, and the idea actually came to me very recently. Well, why can't we do this? I know that the kind of teachers who generally are interested in what we have to offer are the out-of-the-box thinkers to begin with. So I'm inviting you all to take this challenge. And by the way, if you have feedback, ideas of ways to tweak the verbiage or change it or add other challenges, just know that by no means am I a social media expert. I'd love your ideas and input.